Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Mykonos matriarch herself, Sandy Reevy.
Hi from Mykonos.
It is episode 323, September 30th. Let's get right into it. Monday, September 30th, today, Sun conjunct Mercury.
Superior Cazimi.
And Wednesday, October 2nd, new moon at 10 degrees Libra.
It's the solar eclipse.
Friday, October 4th, Venus trine Saturn retrograde.
She has a platform.
And Sunday, October 6th, Mercury square Mars.
Watch your language.
And it is a short episode today, so we'll also be giving you a small update on where we are at the retreat. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you.
Hello, Mykonos matriarch.
I love it here. We were laying out in the sun and we had to come in here and do a podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
And we're going to go
beautiful.
back out in the sun when we're done.
Yes. So we have completed our 2024 Greece retreat. It was an absolute success.
Yeah.
We had a blast with everyone. And now we are at our post-retreat location, one night Mykonos and the rest nights in Ikaria.
The Blue Zone.
Yes.
So check out that Netflix
Documentary,
series. Yeah,
right?
the series on the Centaurian, the 5 world blue zones. And we're staying at one of them.
Yeah.
The one that's on that's a great story. We'll tell it at another date.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's move on to the horizon where we are going to give this week's astrology forecast. Starting with today, Monday, September 30th, Sun conjunct Mercury.
Yeah, this is the Cazimi, but this is the superior Cazimi because Mercury is not retrograde. He is direct and he is moving on the outside, not between the sun and the earth. So, make an imaginary friend here. Someone that lives in spirit, really connect to the cosmic spirit of yourself. Maybe that's what we should do on the ferry tonight is give everybody a imaginary spirit friend name. We can get new names for the trip.
So Wednesday, October 2nd, we have the new moon at 10 degrees of Libra.
All right. This happens in Chicago at 1:49 p.m. It's a new moon, so it's a solar eclipse. We won't see this in the sky. And it's the final one in the area of the Libra area. It's the final one, so it's kind of coming to a conclusion. Now, this is Susan Goodell and I did a big 1-hour webinar about this placement, and it's an 8 South 0 cycle, and Bernadette Brady, which we talk a lot more about on the webinar. If you're on Patreon, Chatting with the Stars, you have it for free. The separation and loss, to be parted from something. Don't undertake strenuous physical activities. You may injure yourself, and I won't talk about the little injury I just had with my toe. But, this new moon, so that means that the sun and the moon crosses the sun at 10 degrees Libra. But we just noted that Mercury is at 11 degrees of Libra, so that this Mercury is combust the sun, right? So there's a combustion there. Plus this new moon, that means the moon and the sun are conjoining the south node that's at 6 degrees of Libra. So that means this moon and sun can be weakened a bit because it's the south node. And then this new moon is squaring Mars. So at 15 of Cancer. So this whole new moon does have a bit of a combustion, a weakness, and stress, right? But it's the feminine, right? It's the Libra. So I really wanted to call this, and I did call it, the feminine stands to fight, yet does not is not connected properly. So is not connected into the plug or into the wall or into it's kind of like a little stress point and a weakened point. So let's just watch the political scene, particularly over the next 2 weeks or the next 6 months. We are already on the political, in America here. And that Mars could create a bit of, fight or a little bit of anger, a little bit of stress. So, the one thing I do like about Venus, because this is a solar eclipse in Venus's sign, Libra, which is why I called it the feminine stands to fight. But this Venus in the sky is forming a trine to Saturn. And, from her placement of Scorpio right now. And so then she's going to be making a trine to Mars. So there's a big grand cross forming in the sky. So even though this solar eclipse does have some, difficulty in that combustion, the weakened, the stressed, she does kind of come out of this in a really solid platform. In fact, if we want to go on to the next transit.
Sure, which is Friday, October 4th, Venus trine Saturn retrograde.
Yeah, and so here she's received, she's this Saturn is retrograde in Pisces and Venus is making a trine to this, which says, Venus is exalted in Pisces. So she's giving the Saturn a bit of a boost. And now she has a platform. Saturn can be the stance, the solid, pedestal that she can stand on. So she seems to get a leg up by Friday. She gets a boost. Maybe she could be helped by the older generation or by important authority figures. So, I say the feminine. We know what season we're in. We're in the election season. Let's watch for the feminine to get a boost.
Okay. And finalizing our week with Sunday, October 6th, Mercury square Mars.
Hey, Mercury is the planet of communication, right? And the thinking and the thoughts and the words and the details and anything that we want to communicate. Right. And it's square Mars. So the Mars energy here is like wants to maybe act out, to say something quickly and fast. And it could be like aggressive language, watch your truck driver language. Because this Mercury is combust. The Mercury is combust. So Mars has a bit of a powerhouse activation. So, Mars is the weapon, that strikes a difficult Mercury. So watch hurting someone's feelings that may be hard to mend, right? Some things just don't, get
You can't always take back those words.
With an apology, right? That still can hold an impression of something. So, watch yours as well. Everyone has the sword. Everyone gets to the swashbuckle of the sword. So just be aware of how you're communicating, how you're talking. Are you curt? Are you pushy? Are you, short answered? Like you're being bothered and you just don't want to. And we have to be careful to that as well because, we're post-retreat, but we're doing, we've got beautiful 12 people with us. And so, we'll have to watch this. Everybody will have to watch this energy. But
that's our closing day.
And this is the day that we will be heading on to the ferry.
And we'll give them a heads up that maybe when they're traveling, there could be that aggressive communication coming through.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention about Mars and on this Sunday the 6th, that Mars goes into shadow on this day. So Mars in shadow, it just sounds so interesting or crazy that he does not come out of the shadow until May 4th. May 4th of 2025. So he goes in today, Sunday, October 6th, and stays in shadow, which means he is hitting here around 16 degrees of Cancer. And he goes all the way up to 6 degrees of Leo, retrogrades December 6th, comes backwards all the way to the 17 degrees of Cancer, which is happening on this day. And then he'll go direct February 24th of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't come out of shadow, as I mentioned, till May 4th, and he'll be at 6 degrees of Leo. So, you have a long time here, right? It's like, take the trucker out of your mouth
Mm-hmm.
and instead put the pressure to learn a new language, pressure to learn something new in the mercurial.
Mm-hmm. Or expand your vocabulary in your first language, because I think a lot of the time when people are swearing for emphasis, it's because they don't necessarily have the vocabulary to back it up.
Right.
Right. So when it's their exclamation point. Right. It's an exclamation point when there are plenty of words to use.
Yeah. So, really, it's a square. So be aware right now about now, right? Like the what, the why, the how. How are you motivated? What motivates you? Why are you motivated? This could be your motto until May, right? So, if you did one thing on this Sunday, October 6th, which is what I'm going to have the girls do, even though I'm not teaching mode, I think they might like this fact that, come up with what motivates you and have that be your motto until May. Because, hey, this whole period, because we can go through all October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, beginning of May, that's 8 months. That is a class. That is a learning. There's a period of, acceleration that you can go forward, come back inside during the retrograde period to do some renovation or recall or replays to really adhere something to you. So what can you do? Like for me, I know I'm taking the Kira class. That's going to be very strenuous homework and 3 months of class before I can get a certification at a later date. So that's kind of where I'm using this energy is to really focus on adding to my vocabulary, adding to my astrological toolbox. Right. So what are you doing out there? Right.
Right.
Let me know, because you have some time to do it. We've got someone out here, practicing the ukulele.
Right. Which is a whole new musical language.
She's got her headset on, listening to something. She's using her fingers, her hands, listening and using, action. So something like that, right?
Right, of course.
So she's right on it.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. So that is the week coming up. Also, we're shortening our episodes more recently since we are on retreat. We have 2 retreats plus a pre and post retreat for Greece and also for Egypt. So we've got a lot going on, and that's why we need to keep these short.
And then after Egypt,
you're going to scout for the 2025 retreat.
The October period of the retreat in Tuscany in a castle. And I haven't put it on the website yet, but stay tuned. It's going to be a very small group of people. And I've got some people already putting their deposits down.
Right.
And it's not even on the website yet. So they're just like, oh, here, I'm going.
Holding their spot.
Yeah, we're holding their spot. So let us know if you want to hold your spot. Those dates are October 4th through October 11th. So it's Saturday to Saturday in 2025.
Awesome.
But I'm doing a pre in Rome prior to that. And post retreat after Tuscany is in Venice.
All right.
And that's when I'm going to go scout.
Yeah. And so let's move into our house, where we are just finishing up our 2024 Greece retreat. It was an absolute wonder. I think for me, one of the biggest highlights was just seeing seeing the faces that I haven't seen in quite a while. The staff that works at Agialis was great. They surprised one of our retreaters with a birthday surprise that was mid-movie night. And the owner of Agialis is a beautiful violinist. And so they came in with this beautiful heart-shaped cake that was like this delicious
like
chocolate raspberry
mousse kind of.
It was wonderful. They had sparklers on the cake. They all came
flowers.
in. Yeah. They all came in as Stamatis was playing the violin. He played her a very beautiful happy birthday song and then transitioned that into such a cool moment for absolutely everyone, especially her. So that was a big highlight for me. Mm-hmm. Tell me one of your highlights.
The big highlight was when people were getting the ahas in class, when they were identifying people in their world, whether it's their children or grandchildren or mates, mm-hmm. spouses or was-been spouses, mm-hmm. That they were either twin stars, karmic stars or creative stars, and doing some of their lifetime. I did their whole lifetime. Mm-hmm. of years of anticipation, and of course some of these years have already been lived. And
right. I know so kind of like reflecting and looking back.
Yeah, so I gave them these dates on what could have occurred, and then they wrote down what happened. And it was, and when we got to the share part of that, it was like, oh my gosh, this happened on this time frame when this was going on in my life. It was making like aha moment sense to some people that said, oh, that was supposed to happen, right? Well, like right. It wasn't like my fault or universe doing me wrong or I'm not enough or whatever that was. Right. It's like, oh my God, it was a learning, soul searching moment in my life that was supposed to happen.
Right. And
yeah.
And
another and the food and the weight we gained. Well, weight I gained.
The food was absolutely delicious. It always is. Made with so much love and the purest ingredients. I mean, really, the olive oil, you could just taste the difference. It's absolutely wonderful.
The honey that you pick it up with a spoon and it just keeps dripping. The stream, it's like, well, I got to get it over to my plate, right? Like, right. And there's a line that follows. It doesn't harden.
Oh, the like Greek yogurt. Oh my goodness. Just all of the fresh fish.
What about the apricot preserves that they make at the
resort?
At the resort.
Right. Or even the patatato.
They made for me.
That it's goat, surprisingly, but also very delicious. But enough about food. Another highlight for me was being able to see the friendships that were evolved just from being strangers, right? They're, everyone really came together. Not everyone had met each other before. Some that returned from last year already knew each other, but they really did a great job at welcoming everybody. And it felt like we were calling it autumn camp because it felt like a woman's like summer camp nearly, but it was more in the autumn time. And
I like the way one lady said to another lady, in the real world, we would never have met. We would, so if we wouldn't have met, we wouldn't have had a chance to sit and talk or watch or sit next to in breakfast or dinner or lunch. And that was her like thank you and gratitude for meeting these two women would never have met in the real world, and they met on this retreat and they buddied up the entire time. Mm-hmm. It was so beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was. And yeah, talk about just you wouldn't imagine them to be like the closest of friends, but when they were quite honestly the cutest like friend couple ever. And then, but just being able to have those moments of serious connection and depth with all of the attendees, and then seeing that interplay around you as well was just really inspiring. And one of the ladies at the closing ceremony made a remark saying that our age range is so wide, our demographic is so wide, race, religion, background, cities, countries, everything is so very different. And yet we all came together and were able to see each other's beautiful souls, everyone's gifts that they were able to lend to the group, and the admiration and appreciation that everyone had at the end of it was just wonderful. It was respectful, it was uplifting and supportive. So that was just really, really inspiring to be a part of and to witness.
Yeah, and I know, some of the younger ones, you included in that category, we all felt like we were the same age.
Right.
Because there were some, olders, like more in my category or even a little bit older, that, women do go through some things. One of the songs we played is, we are 1,000 different women. That was our opening ceremony song. And it's just like, yeah, we are not just one woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, was another reason why it's like, if my life is, going through an adjustment period or, blah, 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 and that's part of the journey of life, right? Is, not everything's going to, go exactly how you've planned it. But you can plan and then move accordingly.
Right. There will always be surprises, and that is one thing that, change brings and life hands to us, and we get to make those decisions.
And we talked about the beautiful no and the magic of a change, right? So there was just so many things going on that was beautiful. And the distillery
all the tours
this year was really special to me this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the really good energy that was going on in the 200-year-old house.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we have so many stories to share with you all about this retreat, and we're also going to be asking a few of our post-retreaters that came along on this Icarian journey and Mykonoan journey.
Icarian.
Yeah.
Icarian?
Yeah, I guess
Icarian.
Icarian journey. So we want to pull them to the side and see if we can get a little bit of their highlights and their stories that they wanted to share.
Yeah, and I think one of our special guest for the retreat was Ariel Gutman, who is the author of the Venus Star Rising. I'm sure she would be happy to come in and say a few words of her experience, because she teaches her class around the world.
Right.
She gets invited to a lot of radio shows or podcasts, or she was interviewed by Vogue, Teen Vogue, I think, this year about Venus Star points, and it's getting more and more exposed, her work. And so we'll ask her to sit down with us for 5 minutes, and yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for joining in for this short episode this week. We are looking forward to our full-length episodes once we are all wrapped up with these retreats. But until then, we will see you next week for another short episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you.